Carolina's You Decide coverage here this evening. A challenger has now entered the race for Senator Lindsey Graham, and it is former Lieutenant Governor André Bauer. For much more on this now Senate run with the GOP primary right around the corner, we're joined live right now by the former Lieutenant Governor, now Senate candidate, André Bauer. So, Mr. Bauer, thank you so much for taking some time with us. I think first off, a lot of people may have the same question, but why run for Senate?
Well, I've watched our Senator Lindsey Graham for way too many years put Washington priorities and foreign politics ahead of our own. The South Carolinians feel like they don't have a champion in that seat anymore. We've given him over 30 years in Washington, and the budget's gone up over fivefold. The debt has gone up over fivefold. 9 trips to Ukraine. It's all these foreign wars, getting us involved in all kinds of conflicts around the world and wanting to send more troops. I want us to focus on making America great again. I want the money to stay in the United States. I want us to have a secure border. I continue to hear year after year we're going to address these, and then we don't. Donald Trump needs help. He needs a MAGA candidate that actually supported him from the beginning and hasn't flip-flopped on him. I've been there. I've got 8 years as lieutenant governor of ruling taxes out of order, every single one that was proposed in the South Carolina Senate. And so they had a champion. When seniors needed to be looked after, I took over the Office on Aging. And we put seniors first, and we made sure that we looked after them on things like silver-haired legislature and senior fraud. And so I want to see more action in Washington from our elected leaders. I want to see America and South Carolina spoken up for it, and I'm not seeing that. Look, I've got 4 children, and I care about the future that they grow up in. I want them to grow up in South Carolina. I want them to have South Carolina values, but I want them to be safe, and I want them to have opportunity. And I'm not seeing Washington do what the people of South Carolina want by any stretch of the imagination.
You mentioned President Trump. He has already come out and endorsed Senator Graham, saying he has his complete and full endorsement. How do you counter that point, saying that you are the candidate for President Trump, when President Trump himself is saying he gives Lindsey Graham his complete and total endorsement?
Well, he did that endorsement a while back, but bigger than that, I'm actually a MAGA candidate because I've been there. I didn't look. Lindsey Graham ran against him in 2016 and said all kinds of negative things about him, wanted him to not be able to run again. He was going to invoke the 25th Amendment. He said he was done on January 6th. Donald Trump introduced me when he announced for president and said André Bauer could run for anything and win. And after the applause was so loud, he said it a second time when he was announcing for president of the United States. He nominated me to be an ambassador to Belize. I've spent multiple visits with him when he said, what are you going to run for? I hope you'll run for something. So I can only tell you what he's told me. And I do understand how politics works in Washington, and the president's trying to get an agenda passed with a senator in Washington that can hold up any legislation and has done it in the past. The same one that confirmed Hillary Clinton and John Kerry for Secretary of State and voted with Biden in 2022, 70% of the time. That's not South Carolina values. That's not MAGA. That's not focused on what the people of South Carolina are interested in. That's something vastly different, and he's going to have to defend that record.
The Graham campaign has already responded to your announcement, posting a picture that you had posted with the Vice President Kamala Harris. Also, the Graham campaign saying, quote, that you spent your career really trying to chase titles to feed your ego. How do you respond?
Well, I've got the greatest title of all. It's called Dad. And I became a dad some years back, and it changed my whole perspective of government and what really the most important things are. And I can tell you, it's not foreign wars. It's not globalism. It's not running around the world. He's been to nine times that we know of to Ukraine. 2 years ago, he partied with Senator Menendez in Paris and all over Europe on your taxpayer dime. So there's a vast difference. And so they can post one picture. There's a fist bump of him right after the 2020 election. He's fist bumping Kamala Harris. He's sponsored legislation with Kamala Harris. He's voted with bills with Kamala Harris. I've taken one picture, but you know what's worse than that? You know what's frightening? There's another picture that's going to come out. You're breaking news. I took a picture about 25 years ago with Lindsey Graham, and I'm sure they're going to put that one out there too, which is even more scary because he's a bigger liberal than Kamala is.
So right now you've brought up the senator's trips. I've also brought up that he's been there for too long. So I want to ask you kind of a couple of questions getting into this race now that we're here at day one. Would you commit to no foreign trips if elected senator?
I'd have to. I don't want to say no foreign trips. I'm not looking for foreign trips. I got 4 kids. I want to spend all my time in South Carolina representing South Carolina voters. That's where my concern is. I don't know that you want to commit to ruling out anything. There may be some cause to go there, but I'm not looking for free trips around the world. I don't need that. It's not where my priorities are. Part of the reason that I'm running is I want my children to have a better future, and the children of South Carolina. We don't feel like we have a voice. We feel like the lobbyist bought our voice a long time ago. That's how he raises so much money.
I think lastly here, Mr. Bauer, when it comes to term limits, would you commit to term limits if elected to the Senate?
Absolutely. Whatever term they want to make it, I'm for it. Shorter the better. People need to come up, be part of the system, and then go back and live in the communities in which they tried to make better. This stuff of career politicians is toxic. It's terrible, and it's not getting the best and brightest to go up there and really make the change that the people of South Carolina want. We don't feel like our voice is heard anymore.
Would you personally commit to term limits, saying that you would only do two terms?
Without any question whatsoever.
What is that number for you?
12 would probably be too much, but I would definitely commit to 12. Look, I'm 56 years old. The election another year away. I'd be almost in my mid-60s. It doesn't need to be a retirement home.
So you'd be looking at 2 terms in office if elected to the Senate?
Absolutely.
Okay. Mr. Bauer, thank you so much for your time, and welcome to the race for this GOP primary for the Senate. Thank you.
Appreciate you.